Alright.
Sorry. I'm just thinking you're so familiar with everything. Then again, unfortunately, how you doing?
Better than I think I should be, I guess. But it was like this when my mom passed away as well, so.
Were you, did you know Michele?
Yeah. I knew his whole family, know someone as long as I did him. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
Wouldn't say I was a family friend. The rest of his family really didn't like me. Kind of tolerated me for him. But
you were closest to him. How would you, I'm going to grab my drink. I forgot I right here.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have known each other for how long? Since
6th grade.
6th grade. Wow. And he's always lived there?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. As long as I've...
Anything to drink? You're alright? Okay. So 6th grade.
Yeah.
You guys met in school, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And tell me what kind of friendship you had.
He was closer to me than family sometimes. And I guess part of the reason he ran over there immediately afterwards is we kind of scratched each other's backs, how emotional family can get. So
Sure.
Kind of like safe havens for each other. But just kind of shocked, I guess. Not as much as Bob or Nancy, evidently, but you think you know a guy.
Sure. Have you ever seen, and I mean, you can't beat yourself up a little bit too much, but here now, I mean, fast forwarding, and the reason that I kind of want you to just come in and just sit down and just brainstorm with me is because now we're looking at the big picture. It's like, I'm just now meeting the family, a family that you're already familiar with, the family that you've known for, your entire youth. And I'm seeing a pretty cool family for the most part. But I know you know a lot more. I know you know a whole different side than what I'm seeing. But I also see a mom that absolutely, without a doubt, advocated for Nathan. He might not have felt that way. He may not have seen it as you being a young, I'm not going to call you a kid.
I'm going to agree with you on that she cared a lot for him. And it had always been a point of contempt between he and I. Just the way he talked about his family. He hated his father, he hated his sister, he hated his mom. And I mean, it was in not so well-formed terms, but just always badmouthed them. They're so stupid, how they are. And to a point, you kind of had to agree with them. They were very controlling and you could say unreasonable at times, but they were good people. Martin, not so much when he drank, but
Sure.
He actually didn't drink that much. I mean, unless there were something going wrong on in his life. And I'm sure my last name by now, you know who my father is, Dwayne Whitaker. I know that sort of environment, and I know what people are like when they're drunk, and it's not really an excuse, but he stayed away from it as best as he could. So he was a good person, and his sister was probably the most distant, wanted nothing to do with him, but she was never outwardly hateful towards him.
Right.
No, I think that he was definitely, there was no way that he could have been in the right on this or anything like that. And I think this has been something that's been brewing for a while.
What do you mean by the right illness?
No, I don't think he could be in the right in this.
Oh, the right in this. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you said illness. I was like, I'm not following you. So
No.
obviously, if I don't understand something, I'm asking. Did you, now that you've had an opportunity to let this sink in, and the shock kind of, I mean, I know you're probably still in shock. It's not been that long. Did you see now it coming a little bit, or what do you think? Do you see any changes?
Bob and Nancy said that they had seen this coming for a while now.
Why?
He's always been... Even people who have bad relationships with their family will try to get along, not militantly oppose the idea at every turn. You know, it was always a fight with him and stuff, but to me personally, this comes as a surprise. I know that everyone has those sort of thoughts, but I never would have believed that he, of all people, would have acted on them. Because, I mean, you've seen the kid. He's scrawny.
Correct.
And wiry and walks around with a hunch because he's shy as all hell, but he, came out of left field.
Did he always go to your house? I mean, with Bob and Nancy being so familiar with him enough to express that as an opinion, how often did he come to your house?
Not as often recently. While we were taking care of my mother, 2 months ago, long stretch of time, because she was on her last legs, he would come over about once or twice a week, sit with me while I was there alone taking care of her. He kept his desktop at my house, which he had paid for, and with the help of another one of our friends, assembled himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept it over there because his parents often talked about selling it and
Okay.
would take it away from him. And 22 years old, 23 years old, around there, still having his stuff taken away by his parents. And I never agreed with them on that, but I could kind of see why. And I would let him keep it over there. Again, I have it over there if you guys need that, but it's been a solid month since he's touched it. So, so he would come over to use his computer, hang out with me, keep me company. But, and prior to that, we would spend, like, thinking way back when we first met, and it was like every weekend together. My house, his house, mostly his house because I didn't really have a lot to do. We had a neighbor who had chronic migraines. He actually wound up killing himself over. And Bob really didn't let us roughhouse or anything like that, as not to make too much noise for him.
Okay.
And
So mostly over your house?
yeah, mostly over at his house. And,
I mean, his house.
yeah, and got to know the family, and I think, and I've always thought this, so this isn't a new revelation or anything like that, there was a very noticeable decline in his family's happiness. And I genuinely think that Nathan's attitude towards his family kind of led to the divorce, and I think his opposition to his family caused a lot of his own hardships, but we ever tell him that and just kind of acts like we're on their side.
I see.
So
When you were over there the majority of the time, was there interaction between, I mean, were you guys out on the back porch where he's currently staying, or did he have a room?
when it wasn't until I think he turned either 19 or 20, that, and this was during the divorce, they moved his sleeping arrangements to what used to be their dining room.
Okay.
And I'm sure if you've seen the crime scene, you've noticed the place with the dresser and the desk and the kind of attached to the kitchen. Had like a shelf kind of blocking an entryway to the kitchen. And that's where he was living for the longest time. It wasn't until about a week ago that they moved his bed out onto the back porch, and that was actually so he could get locked out of the house if he didn't find a job. Like I said,
Did he express himself to you about that?
I actually didn't know until the day before he did it, because I picked him up after my first day of work, the day before my first day of work, for him to come over and hang out, and had borrowed my laptop back overnight because it's got a webcam that I had used. And in the morning of the same day of the event, I dropped it off. But when I picked him up, I was like, "Oh, so you're living out here now?" And he was like, "Yeah, they put me out here." I was like, "Well, not bad. It's pretty big living space.
Sure.
Like twice as big as the master bedroom in there. So not a bad deal." But didn't know that it was because he could get locked out.
Gotcha.
And the only other thing he said about it, which is how I know that it was so he could get locked out, is because he messaged me around 5 p.m. on Wednesday, was it?
The day of the incident?
Yeah. He messaged me and said, "Mom locked me out of the house because I'm not job hunting today." So I kind of dismissed it because there's always been issues in there, and lately, mostly during the time when we were watching my mother, I just kind of stopped caring about his familial issues. I had my... Yeah. It's like my mother's can't even formulate a sentence. That was like 4 words, and we have to clean her ass after she shits. I can't really deal with you wanting to play video games and your parents telling you to get a job. And...
So sorry I had to go through that. It's horrible.
Well, she passed and she's in a better place and all that, but... And... It's just... Maybe if I had told him, "Hey, come over, if she's got you locked out," then this wouldn't have happened or anything like that.
You cannot beat yourself up like that, Please don't. Please don't ever do that. Honest to God, you cannot do that to yourself. I know it's normal, but do not do that.
And the other thing that I think about is, while, you were questioning us, and, while I was writing over here, there were like 2 parts of my mind on the whole situation. There was the one up front that was, he's in shock, he just saw his mom get stabbed and stuff like that. But there was that part of my mind saying, it's obvious that he did it, oh, I tried to pull the knife out, that's a good alibi, why'd you run if he was running off? Why didn't you call? But again, you know a guy for as long as I knew him, and that's the last thing you want to think when something like that happened, especially because if it wasn't him, then I couldn't really spend the time thinking.
Now that you look back on when he came to the house, what exactly did he say again, and what happened right when he got there?
Okay, so I was sleeping because first day of work, was up late the night before, and he came into my room. It was fairly common over the last 2 years for him to just come into the house, no knocking, no waiting for the door to open, because, again, we were thick as thieves, but he came into my room. I felt like an asshole at the time, on that night rather, because the first thing I did was get up, use the bathroom, then come back in. He was curled up on the bed, fetal position, said, I got out of there as fast as I could, and I asked him to explain, and then I saw the blood on his feet. And he was like, someone stabbed my mom, I got out of there as fast as I could. What should I do? So I told him, call 911. He was like, right. He took out his cell phone, called you guys. And I went, told Bob and Nancy, someone stabbed Nathan's mom. And neither of them seemed, well, Nancy seemed a little bit shocked, but it was more so at the, then why is he over here?
Right.
You know Nancy, she's pretty perceptive of this sort of thing. And she wasn't buying it for the most part.
Sure.
But Bob just kind of was calm about it and was like, I got him calling 911. Then he called you guys and we waited for you to show up.
Anything else said while he's waiting?
No, but when the officers had stepped away while we were seated on the out in the front yard, he had said he tried to pull the knife out, and it was after talking to the officers when he brought up his father and they started questioning him about that. He said, you know, my father probably did it. Who else could it have been? And I told him, you know, don't jump to that sort of conclusion. It doesn't have to be anyone you know. And it sort of meant, like, don't try to throw your dad under the bus.
Right.
Sort of thing. Looking back, that was really sadistic of him. You know, you kill your mom and then you try to pin it on your father. And it's part of me also wishes he didn't come to my place, didn't get us involved in it. Just even if it was lying to you guys, you know, call there, stay there.
Right. When he curled up on your bed in the fetal position, you noticed the blood on his feet. When did he wash his feet?
I don't know when. It could have been when I went to go tell Bob and Nancy.
Okay.
He could have done it at a bathroom or something like that.
Okay, you didn't watch him though. I mean, you didn't see him do it.
No, I should have stayed with him, but
No, it's not. That's not. I was just trying to get the gist of it, what his actions were, and because obviously that's something now we have to go back and we have to do a 24-hour timeline, if not longer, in his case, because I mean, you picked up on change, you know, months before, so to say.
I mean, I wouldn't really say that I picked up on change months before or anything like that. It's just over the years that I've known him, he's become more opposed towards the rest of his family, and his sister and father definitely were sick of his shit. And his mom, for the most part, she rode the borderline of being an enabler and being tough on him.
Right.
You know, let him stay there, let him really go unpunished on a lot of things aside from can't use the TV, can't use the computer, but she was always a bit of a health nut. Even when we were not using electronics, she would complain about us staying inside all the time. You know, always fed us health food, which I could never choke down, but her baked goods were amazing. But it was, I can't even really pinpoint a point where I noticed that it was different, but when I first met it was, oh, yeah, my mom's a little bit weird, you know, this is my sister, she likes horses, and this is my dad, and became, my mom's a fucking idiot, my dad's abusive, and my sister's a bitch. And I never believed that his family deserved to be called that.
Right.
I guess I was being an enabler as well. Should have.
Well, if you vocalized, he would accuse you of being on their side.
Yeah, only real fight we ever got into is I had some relationship issues which he kind of got on my nerves about, you know, speaking bad of somebody I was in love with at the time. So I did bring up his family and how he causes a lot of problems at home. And we didn't talk for a good week. And had a friend mediate who's no longer in the county, up in college.
Mm-hmm. Who were his, speaking of other friends and or relationships and such, who was other friends?
That's sort of a weird, well, I've got sort of a weird answer to that. He had people he would call friends, but they were all friends by proxy through me. Riley Strickland and Andrew Krutoff. Again, Andrew's no longer in the county. Hasn't spoken to us in about half a year.
That's the one that went to college.
Yeah, and Riley, we don't really talk to locally anymore. Sometimes we'll catch a game with him online or something like that, but he's in college working, and
Riley
Strickland.
Okay.
Yeah, and they haven't been in contact for some time, so I would honestly say that I was his only friend.
And his sexual preference, or he was not into girls, I'm coming to the conclusion of, or
he was.
Is that a frustration? I'm trying to determine, not that I'm, not judgmental by any means, but I'm just trying to come to a conclusion of his frustrations.
I don't know if he would still classify himself as this, but he came out to me as transgender, though he didn't want to be called any female pronouns or by a female name until he could look the part. That's why he was growing his hair out. But he said that he was a transgender lesbian, and it wasn't so much that he wasn't interested in women, he just didn't have the confidence while he was a man to try dating.
Okay, I see. That actually makes sense. And so how do you feel about his hair being cut?
I think he wound up doing it. I'm not too sure on that. He never told me about it. It used to be a thing with his sister and mom. Lana would grow her hair out and donate it to, I think it was Wigs for Cancer Victims.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know anything about his own hair being cut.
Okay. Did he ever blame himself for the divorce? I mean, I know you had made a comment that you regret it, but did he ever mention anything? And when do you think he was, or how was he?
He was glad about the divorce. He actually hated the fact that his mother still let his father still be in the house. He never blamed himself. He always would cite his father's alcohol abuse, because there was a point in time, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, around it was like half a year before the divorce,
Mm-hmm.
where he was unemployed and drinking frequently, and he would never raise a hand to either of the women, but he did get a little rough when it came to disciplining Nathan. But that's what he would blame. He wouldn't blame himself, and I don't know if he did directly have any influence on it, but the frequency at which his father and he bashed heads definitely.
Gotcha. Okay, so my other question I had brewing. The actual timeline of that day. When did you start work?
11. So
I don't know what day did you start? I know that you had him over the day before you
Wednesday
started.
was my very first day.
So Wednesday the 23rd was your first day. So he was actually at your house on the 22nd.
Yes.
Okay.
And
And that was a normal visit.
It was very short-lived. I think I picked him up around 2, 3, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was over until 6. Then I took him home.
Just dropped him off, or did you go in?
No, I just dropped him off.
Okay.
Nobody was home, so.
Okay.
Then before work the next day, like I said, it was just he and his sister home. I dropped off the laptop, went around the side of the house to hand it to him directly.
At the back porch, he was in his bed?
Yeah.
And that was at 11 a.m. on the 23rd, Wednesday?
10:35.
10:35.
Yeah.
Did you see his sister?
No, but I saw her truck.
Okay. And Mom's car was obviously gone.
Yes.
And was he awake or sleeping?
He was awake, listening to music on his phone. Came to the back door, opened it up, grabbed the laptop.
What does he primarily do on the laptops?
Games, and just occasionally job searching, but he and I both have a website we frequent to just look at stupid pictures on the internet, like everyone these days, and
Which one?
Funny Junk.
Funny Junk.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not exactly the best site. You take a look at it, you'll see bad things about it. It's full of Nazis now, but where isn't?
Yeah, that's true.
And we just played games.
Would you classify him as smart?
He was the most stupid smart person I know. And that's saying
Safe
something
answer.
because I am a stupid smart person myself.
You seem very intelligent.
Intelligent, not smart.
Okay. Which that smart comes with life experience, right?
No, I don't even think that. I dropped out of high school. He at the very least finished it. Yeah, I dropped out
When did you
because
drop out?
when I was 17, I
Wow, you made it that far and you dropped out.
had some legal issues, so I got held back a year, and I just kind of lost focus and was kind of just sticking in to go into the military. I went to FPC, so I was in the Air Force ROTC, hoping to complete 4 years to get a higher pay grade in the military. Found out because of the legal issues that I went through, I was ineligible for service.
Because you were charged, or
I
did
was-
you plead out to that? Or?
I was charged on 2 of the 4 counts,
Okay.
and they, the recruiter had said that if it had been 1 count, I could have possibly got in, but 2 counts. And so I dropped out. That was my one reason, and I hadn't. But I got my GED, and that's why I'm working at fast food. He went in, and then he went into college for a year, never went back. Always said that he was going to, but never did.
How was he in school?
I don't know. We were a grade apart.
Oh, you were?
He had friends, though. Stopped talking to him after high school. Guess it was just, friends in the hall
Sure.
sort of deal. But again, I was really the only friend that he talked to, at least locally. I don't know about online.
Do you know of him having any bad habits?
He wanted to get into smoking, but couldn't keep a job long enough to afford it.
Is he trying anything that you're aware of? Any new drugs, any experimental anything?
If he was on drugs, then it would have been through the therapist that his mother had gotten him, and I don't think that he was.
Okay. Had he been to the therapist lately that you're aware of, or?
Actually, the very last time I saw his mother, she showed up at my place on the 22nd it was either the 22nd or the last time that he was over, which I can't recall right now.
I have that down as the 22nd.
Well, no, last time
Okay.
after that,
Okay.
before that. She had stopped by to see if he was going to go to the therapist or if she should cancel, and, definitely wanted
Sure.
him to go. He was like, no, I'm not going. And I told him, well, actually, that's when you got to get out of here anyway, because I had some other things I had to do, so you should just go. And he was like, no, cancel it, and went home afterwards. So he was in therapy, but
What did he say after she left? Or did he leave with her then?
it's just,
What was this expression of why he didn't want to go to the counseling?
no, it's
Therapist.
just, we continued doing what we were doing, which was just,
Didn't talk about it.
I thought it was just another one of their fights, and I told him he should have gone to therapy, because when I was going through legal troubles, I had therapy, and it helped, even if that wasn't the purpose of it.
Right.
Just someone to go and talk to about your issues. But no, that was like the last time I saw her, actually. The last time before that was at my mother's memorial.
This is a lot on you.
It's,
Do you have any access to talk to people as of now, as far as insurance goes or anything like that?
the insurance I don't have, sadly. I have a pretty big support group of friends online and in person, so.
Good. We'll take advantage of that. Absolutely. If you need anything, obviously, too. If it gets to a point where you can't, then obviously you can call me and I'll find resources. I'll do what I do.
I can promise you I'm not going to kill anyone.
No, I didn't expect that. I meant for your best interest as far as
I
just
know.
not allowing it to just eat you alive.
No,
Because they seem sensitive. Not weak.
no,
You know what I mean?
it's easy to deal with if you don't have to talk about it. I'm fine thinking about it. I heard some coworkers talking about it at work today and just kept my head down and worked, but I'm like that.
How closely you're connected?
One of them did, and my manager did, but the only other person who knows outside of the manager, her brother or ex-boyfriend, I can't remember, shot someone a while back. Anyway, so we're kind of in that same boat.
Sure.
Um,
Work through the media. The media's brutal.
yeah,
I can't warn everybody. I just
Okay.
have no control.
Came home yesterday to find 3 different news channels, business cards. I'm not going to make any comments. I'm sure it
Yeah,
would.
it's really smart.
Well, considering I go on a website that's filled with Nazis, you can probably guess I'm not too fond of the media in the first place. I do listen to NPR though, so.
So Wednesday the 23rd, you were over there at 10:35 a.m.
Mhm.
What do you drive?
2006 Honda Civic. It was my mother's car. It's my stepfather's car, officially.
What color?
Silver, I guess.
And walked around back, gave him the laptop.
Mhm.
Nothing was really said. He was listening to music on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Shark was there. He
Mhm.
left, went to work. What time did you get off work?
2. First 3 days of training. This was my last day of training. You only worked 3 hours.
Gotcha. Okay.
So.
And you didn't talk to him until 5 when you got a text? Or you texted him, he texted you? How did it work out?
I got a message over the internet, the same platform we use for gaming, and he was like, my mother locked me out. And really, my only reaction was, not this shit again. But then at, I guess, around 7:30, 7:15, he came over into my room, woke me up, and then all this happened.
So the messaging is over what website? Game?
Steam?
STEAN?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to classify it. It's not any one game. You just buy and play games through it.
So it costs money?
Yeah, you buy your games digitally,
Okay.
and it just organizes them, and, you know.
And it has like an instant chat on it or some sort?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it save the chats? Or is it like Snapchat almost?
It does on mobile, which I think he used to contact me. If he didn't, then no. It doesn't save on PC or any other platforms.
Only on the phone?
Only on the phone.
Okay. So that was at 5. It was just a, hey, my mom locked me out again, and you said, not that, or you didn't write that, you just thought that.
I didn't say anything.
You didn't respond?
No, I was in the process of laying down to sleep, so
Okay.
it was just brushed it off.
And it wasn't lock me out again, or just lock me out?
Just locked me out.
Okay.
Locked me on the back porch.
I wonder what time she usually gets home.
His mother?
Mhm.
I personally don't know, but if I had to venture a guess from all of my previous interactions, 4 or 5 in that ballpark. If I recall correctly, she was a nurse or worked in medical field, so.
If she was gone, well, that wasn't that early at 10:30. Mostly people are gone by then. So the primary legitimate bitch, I would say, is the fact that he wasn't looking for a job. He would stay on his computer all day, or sleep. What else? Anything you could think of?
The way that he dealt with his family's problems was very aggressive, to say the least.
What's that mean?
Even some simple things could become shouting matches. Very difficult to get him to help out around the house. If it inconvenienced him, then he would bitch about it, which, for the most part, most of the time, they were incessant on things that could maybe wait 5 or 6 minutes. So it never really got to a point where I could say that he was being wholly unreasonable, because they were pretty rough on him, but never to the degree that he made it out to be,
Right.
if that makes sense.
So just normal expectations, and for an average person.
The way that they went about it probably could have used work. I think that entire family could have used work, but I will definitely say that Nathan never tried to help it. And I've been saying, I think it's been at least 5 years since I started saying this, and Andrew, the one that went to college, had been saying it too. he needs to try to bridge the gaps with his family. Don't burn bridges, because in the end, if you try to burn bridges, then you're the bad guy.
Right.
And he never got on board that philosophy.
Do you know if he was ever diagnosed with anything? Any mental illnesses of any sort, or?
Diagnosed? No. Do I think he had some? Yes, though I can't say for sure what sort.
What would be your guess?
Well, right now, psychopathy, obvious, but... Ooh.
Well, that's after the fact, as far as...
Autism, maybe. Social autism. He's always been a bit... Some of his reactions were exaggerated and kind of canned almost, which is why I really didn't think anything of the way that he was acting on that night, because yeah, he was trembling and, you know, muttering, what more could I have done? And back part of my mind once again was like, you know, that looks phony, that looks canned.
Right.
But at the same time, I always thought, well, you know, even the way he laughs sounds canned. Because, like, one of his most stereotypical reactions to things was, something was funny, he would, like,
Yeah.
so, or, you know, wheeze. But I never really thought anything of it. Takes all kinds of people, but I think autism could have been possible, though I'm not going to say that. I clearly don't
It's
have
just your
it.
opinion, and I understand. Totally taken, just opinions, and basically you didn't see any, like, restrictions in his, in the intellectual side. I mean, he was... The process. He knew the difference between right and wrong and stuff like that. You know, the basics.
I believe now, these events have got me questioning things that I know about him, but if you would ask me previous to the event whether Nathan knew the difference between right and wrong, I still would have said probably, not definitely. Because up until recently, up until I got this job, I had been pretty much living the same way he did. And, you know, I'd been bombarded with find a job, you know, try to talk to my father about politics, find a job, try to talk to him about, oh, how was your day? Oh, well, it was shitty, you know, work shitty, you would know when you get a job. But at the same time, I was legitimately looking. I was legitimately wanting a job. I wanted my own flow of income so I could eventually go to college, so I could leave home. But with him, his drive was to sleep and play video games. And it was always a point of contempt, though I rarely brought it up to him. In fact, when I picked him up, because Tuesday I went and picked up my uniform. And I told him the night before, you know, if they don't immediately put me to work, I'll pick you up. You can hang out over here for some time. Did that. And on the way there, I was like, you know, I need to get a job. And he was actually telling me I've been applying for delivery service. Because he's got a car, he knew how to drive, he's got insurance, he knows the streets.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, good for you. I've got a friend who used to do the same thing for Papa John's. Let me put in a call, you know, see if he could get you talking to a manager or anything like that. And then this shit happens. And his previous two jobs were in the same place that I worked. I got a job at Steak and Shake back in December 2015, I think. Mm-hmm. And I was a dishwasher. About 2 months and 2 weeks in, I asked, hey, you guys look a little bit slow. You need anyone else? And he was like, yeah, I could use another dishwasher. So I was like, hey, Nathan, apply. Got him a job as a dishwasher. He failed miserably, looked bad on me, wound up quitting, put in his 2 weeks before I did. I quit because of scheduling issues.
How did he fail miserably?
He was very slow, and he was always slow at a lot of things. And I had always suspected he kind of did it to himself. You know, if I act slow, if I act stupid, then they can't blame it on me. They can blame it because of the slowness.
So he quit or they fired him?
He quit because it wasn't working out. Okay. He didn't think that he was cut out for that job. Only lasted about a month at most. I lasted about 3.5 months.
Okay.
So we quit about 2 weeks apart. In my next job, I worked the garden center at the Walmart over on Cypress. And after about 2 months, I was like, hey, you should put in an application. They were moving people around different departments and stuff like that. Seems like they need people. So he got a job stocking in the produce section, and he actually enjoyed it. And
what time frame was that?
I want to say May 2016 is when I started, so 2 months, August, and no, I guess it would be July. August 2016, no, July 2016. And I wound up getting fired about a month and a half later because of tardies. I thought it was good that I at least got Nathan a job there, so his parents would,
Right.
That was a really big source of discord over there.
Sure.
So I'd always
not doing any part.
Yeah, so I'd always tried to get him a job wherever I would start working because, he's got an in now.
Sure.
And he wound up getting fired because of one too many tardies as well. But he lied to me for about a week after that. Still had a job, would offer to pay for stuff. And then finally came clean when we were in the car because I kept asking him, oh, do you work tomorrow? Do you work tomorrow? He was like, all right, I gotta come clean. I lost my job. And I was like, oh, that shit. Better get back to looking because I was still already looking. And granted, it was back in 2016, so it's been a while since I had work, but it's because unofficially I was working for one of Nancy's friends, helping her with her private farm. She takes and rescue animals. So,
Who was that?
I don't remember her name. I know that she works at a bond company in Palatka.
Oh, okay. So not like second chance rescuer.
No. I had actually got him a job there. Then I quit because of the way she talked to me. She called me a dumb fucking idiot because you've seen Nancy's dog. You were there. She was just sitting there, no leash, people walking around. Only once did she stand up, sniff everybody, then sit back down. I hold dogs in a higher standard because of Nancy's training on dogs. And I got the dog, which was a pit bull, all the way to her truck without a leash. I didn't know that she always leashed the dog because it liked to chase chickens and cats. Now, I had led this thing through a flock of chickens without it even budging. And then she was like, go, get a collar, you dumb fucking idiot. So I went and got the collar, grabbed my money for the day, and I was like, you gotta stop talking to me like that. I won't do it again, but if you keep talking to me like that, I'm gonna leave. And she was like, all right, get the fuck out. So I did.
Nice.
And afterward, he decided that since I had quit, he wasn't gonna show back up either, which, considering it was just that one lady and both of us, I
Sure.
thought that would be for the best as well.
Gotcha. Who was that, though?
I legitimately do not remember her
Okay.
name.
But it was here in Flagler County?
No, I don't think so. It was not in Palatka, I apologize. It was in Espanola. In San Mateo,
Okay,
that was where her place was. I don't remember her name.
that's fine.
But he only worked there for about 2 weeks.
Gotcha. I know there was something else I was getting ready to ask you and I got sidetracked. Can't think of it. Oh, I know what it was. When you were going through your legal troubles, that was like, what, 4 years ago?
No, definitely not. That was when I was 13.
So we're going way back.
Yeah.
God, it just doesn't seem like that long. Like, does to you. Did you ever talk to him about that?
Yeah. Multiple times. Like I said, we were closer than
Sure.
family. And his entire family supported me and my family through that. And
Gotcha.
That's...
Did he ever suggest anything as far as the legality, anything reference to the case, or did he just give his opinion on you personally and the personal effect it had on you?
I don't think he spoke. I think his mother and father spoke as character witnesses. He didn't speak. No, never I'm recalling that he didn't.
So let me rephrase it. Does he have knowledge of the legal system?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get an understanding of.
Outside of the most basic, every Joe Schmo knows, no.
Okay. Did he know what was going on that night?
Did he know what was going
Like
on?
when we were all sitting here, when we were all sitting over there, and what was his take on it?
I don't know. I hadn't spoken to him.
Nothing said that night, though.
He was quiet on the car ride there, and I feel like an ass now because, the officer was out of the car talking to another officer right there watching us, and I legitimately was just fighting the urge to ask him, did you do it? And held my tongue,
Sure.
But he didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I sat out there. You guys had him in here. I didn't even know he confessed until I read it after work yesterday. And I read the full article because I wanted to know.
And I'm sorry that you had to read that because that should have never made it out in the media. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
I think some part of what I know of him doesn't think this was premeditated. Just from what I know of him, I think he got angry and it was spur of the moment. Take this for what it is. You can see how well I know him now.
Wow.
But I really didn't like that the media kind of tried to make him out to be a Unabomber. Talking about how he was an emotionless. He was trembling and all that. He was definitely emotional, even if it wasn't the emotions that I was hoping it was that night.
That's kind of why I'm trying to get a feel of, number one is experience with law enforcement, that's why I asked you about your criminal case.
He's called the cops before because of family issues, but I wouldn't say he has an intimate or even clear understanding of the legal system. He didn't even call the police until I told him to. And
you can't, and you try to, you know, obviously think way outside of the box because, you know, is he emotionless? Is he sitting here saying nothing because is he absolutely terrified? I don't know. You know, is he so fearful because he knows he's in trouble, or does he just really seriously not have any feelings whatsoever? But you're telling me now, I mean, he's most comfortable with you. You're seeing trembling. You're seeing someone that's just absolutely terrified.
I think he was terrified because it was passionate, not premeditated, and I think he was afraid because it happened and because he knew he fucked up.
He knew he was in trouble.
But I don't think he was an emotionless. I would bet my life on the fact that he was not emotionless. He was not a robot. I would not call him a sociopath. But considering this surprises me.
Yeah. I mean, the crime was incredible. Which I know you don't need anymore because, I mean, it's out there. Just how intense this was. And yes, passion does cause that anger and that just, I'm just trying to get down to the bottom, you know, obviously in respect to Michele, you know, I'm not there. I don't know what was said. You know, did she inform him of something that he just would not hear? Did she suggest something that he had never been heard before? You know, I'm just thinking outside places that you probably know what would push his buttons, being so close.
The only time, like I said, the only time we'd ever gotten into a fight is when he pushed my buttons about my relationship at the time, and I pushed back, you know, about his family issues because he was in the middle of that too. And that's the only time I ever saw him angry enough to do anything like that. And he didn't get violent, he just got angry.
His boisterous.
Not even noisy about it. He just insulted me and stopped talking. So I don't know what went on over there. I can't even think of what went on over there. It happened to me out of the clear blue sky. As far as I knew, there were no major new conflicts over there. I don't think that I don't know what could have gone on over there to make him do that, and that's part of what shocks me the most about this, because, like I said, I know that everyone has thoughts like these, but I don't know what she could have said to make him act.
And obviously, you know, I mean, just the no-brainer questions. He's never mentioned anything before as far as...
Thinking back now, there are plenty of times where it was, you know, just one-off statements and out of anger that everyone was, you know, anyone could wind up saying, like, oh, I want to kill her. It's not...
Just die already.
Yeah.
Something, you know.
I think he once or twice he could have, but again, I think they were just one-off statements. Yeah. I don't think it was premeditated. That's my opinion on it, and I know you guys still have to look into it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And yes, and we talked to everybody. Obviously, I prioritize for people that I know are closest to him.
I would be the person.
Yes, and that's why, you know, rather than, I mean, we didn't get a chance to really talk the other night. I mean, yes, you gave short statements, and everybody's kind of caught up in the moment. But now that we've had at least just a few moments to digest some stuff, and you know what's been alleged, and obviously we had probable cause to arrest him and stuff, so.
But he did confess.
He did, which in the legal system, I don't even know if you know this, that, you know, that's useless without proving your case.
So he still has to be tried?
That would be, I mean, this is a long road. The way the legal system works, if, you know, obviously he'll be appointed an attorney, I'm sure he's gonna go through an absolute buku of psychological evaluations. So it will take, it could be years before anything like that is ever decided.
Alright.
Whether he, you know, receives a plea bargain, if he pleads out to something, if the attorneys come to some sort of conclusion and an agreement, then no, it would not go to trial. However, if they did not, if the state does not agree with a lot of, you know, what his attorney is saying, then yes, it will go to trial, and yes, you would have to testify.
Okay.
Most likely. I would definitely say most likely.
And as cold as this may sound, I do not have any hopes or wants of him not being punished or being too lightly punished in this, because as close as I was with him, that kind of makes me even more opposed to that sort of thing. That, you know, I had him over the day before, and he was there in my room on that night. I was sleepy as shit. I was, for the most part, defenseless. My mother and I slept like she would sleep through thunderstorms. I would sleep through hurricanes. So, in retrospect, yesterday morning, my sister leaves for work around 7 or 8. Bob not shortly afterwards, and I wasn't leaving until like 10:30. So I'm in the house by myself, and I left as soon as I could because I could not shake the feeling of unease just thinking about it. And so you don't have to worry about me trying to work in his favor or anything like that.
Yeah, that's not, I'm not worried about that. I think the truth, it is what it is, to be honest with you. That's the defense's job, to create loopholes and to, make issues and problems. But, I mean, at the end of the day, as weird as this may sound, I mean, Michele loved him with everything she had.
I know, and I've known that for a while.
That's what's heart-wrenching, because she would probably still protect him to this point. I mean, it's...
I don't know about that. Knowing the family, I don't know if she would, but I don't believe that's because she wouldn't love him, and I think it quite possibly could be because she did love him. And like I had said at the start, we were kind of each other's safe harbors. I've had issues with my family before. After my own legal issues, around age 17, before I dropped out of high school, I went into inpatient therapy because I have suicidal tendencies. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't had any thoughts like that in quite some time.
Sure.
But my mother and I have, when I came out as bisexual, she put a gun to my chest. A loaded gun to my chest and told me to take it back. So things weren't always stable at my house either, but I know that she loved me, and I know that I loved her, and at the same time, during, you know about my legal issues, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do.
She, until we talked to the first attorney, she legitimately considered the idea that I had indeed raped a little girl. I don't want him to go unpunished or too lightly punished on this, because clearly he needs help of some sort, and clearly the legal system can help him. I don't know if I'll ever speak to him again, or if I'll even want to.
Right.
But you can't really just try to protect someone like that. Somebody who's done something like this.
I understand. I don't know what his capabilities are from the jail, if he would try to call you, or just be fair warned. I mean, that's a possibility. He could potentially write you, he knows your address. He could potentially try to call you, he knows your phone number.
Yeah.
You know, so just mentally prepare. We got a lot of work to do. We got tons to do. A lot of people to talk to. We've talked to quite a few already.
Have you talked to Bob and Nancy?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No. We're still trying to, obviously I have to pull his sister back in. Because we try to let stuff settle, but she's obviously trying to plan a funeral and stuff too. So that's, in respect for her, we're trying to allow.
I don't know if you can honor this request or anything like that, and I'm not even sure if they would want you to, but if I could get some way to contact his father and sister, I would appreciate that, because, like I said, the family really didn't like me. They tolerated me for Nathan's sake, but they've been with me through a lot. His mother and father were there at my mother's memorial. And again, they testified during my legal issues, so I would like to try to be there for them.
Okay. I can give them your information. I know that your computer was there, and we actually took that because it was on his bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure whether we're going to write a search warrant to go on it yet or not. Because it was in his use, I'm not really sure about that yet. It's a little bit premature for me to make that decision. But just so you know, it's probably going to be tied up for a bit.
All right. Well,
But I have notated that is yours. He mentioned it was yours, so I have not only you telling me that, I have him telling me that as well.
I have his desktop at my house.
Okay.
But again, he has not had use of that for about a month now.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys will want that, or...
You know, do you go on it? I mean...
I use it frequently.
Okay, if you don't see anything on there, then...
No,
Anything of pertinence, I'm going to say no. So, let's see, you have...
He kept most of his important files and his porn on his phone, or a micro USB for his phone. So if there was ever anything like that, and again, I don't think there would be, because... I do not believe this was premeditated, but if there was, then it would most likely be there.
Does he have any other problems that Mom could have recently found or unveiled, or nothing like that he's ever said to you? You can't think of anything like that, or anything new in the mix besides the normal, not getting a job, sleeping all day?
I mean, not going to therapy, which I only knew about
and that
because...
was just a week ago, right?
Yeah, and... He and I shared everything with each other. He was the first person to know that I was bisexual. He frequently, gamed with my boyfriend and I would turn to him to vent, and he would turn to me to vent, and we knew everything from each other's taste in porn to taste in music but nothing new, nothing out there. She'd always known about him being transgender, and she was mostly supportive. She kept asking, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" But she never did so in opposition to the idea.
Right. Yeah, it didn't seem like that would be our character.
Yeah, no, it's... I know of nothing that would have triggered this, honestly. Go ahead.
I tend to do that. I see it, so my brain doesn't stay focused. Has something to do with her thought process.
Michelle's?
Yeah. Oh, what was the main reason for going to therapy? To her. Not because you're lazy and you can't get a job.
I think if you had to give him any mental issues besides autism, the one that comes to mind that I myself suffer from is depression. So, lack of motivation, easily irritable, lethargic.
Did he ever express why his mom wanted to make him go to therapy?
No.
Nothing.
He, when it only ever came up that day, because I had never known that he was going to therapy.
Okay.
He might have mentioned it in passing, and I just didn't. But on that day, I had asked him, well, what was that about? And he was like, oh, yeah, therapy. And I was like, why aren't you going then? They're like, it's whatever. They want to try to put me on pills or something like that. I don't even remember what he said. Like, in retrospect, I probably should have made him go to therapy. It could have been just because he was depressed, or maybe unfocused. Maybe she was hoping the therapist would prescribe him something to motivate him a little bit.
That was in the back of my mind a lot, obviously, because she's trying to make him go to therapy then.
Mm.
What did she see, What was she aware of that all of a sudden became such an issue? I mean, not saying that she was against therapy, like, on a normal level.
No, she definitely wasn't.
Because I know they've had their struggles.
I never really thought about that sort of thing, though, because I would jump at the chance if somebody told me to go to therapy,
Sure.
even if it was like, I'll pay for it. I would jump on that in a heartbeat, and there's no outstanding issues I face right now. Just to have someone to vent stress to. But, so the idea of therapy is just that to me,
Gotcha.
Go and vent.
It's crucial to me. I mean, I'm totally a fan for it. That's why if you get to a level or a point, because of being involved in this case to the capacity that you are, and you can't get something that you need, please let me know, because I'll make it happen somehow, some way. I'll figure it out.
Right now, the humorous side of me wants to say, damn it, Nathan, you had to do this right when I got a job, but that's, for the most part, what I want to focus on in my life, and I will do everything you guys need me to for this investigation, but I plan on keeping my head down, making a paycheck, saving up, and getting out of my stepfather's house. I had wanted to do that while we were taking care of my mother, because I didn't want to mess that up. I was always afraid to be left alone with her, because if something happens that I could possibly, stop.
Or have done different or something.
Yes. She needs oxygen, and she suffocates when I don't know how to operate the oxygen machine. That's on me. It's not just, finally her time, it's...
You're gonna blame yourself, just like you are now.
I don't blame myself for it happening, but it'd be unnatural if I didn't think, if I had said, come over. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people doing this right now. And it's human nature. Nothing you can do about it. You gotta just reroute it.
How's Martin doing?
Drinking.
Well, I would say if there is any point where that is reasonable reaction, that would be now.
Yeah, how do you argue that at this point? Not right now.
I probably will be having a couple drinks when I get my paycheck. And I think I have earned them.
It's bad. It's horrible. And it's so difficult because there's so many different stages of grief. Especially in families, as you probably are well aware.
Oh God, yes.
So knowing them, acknowledging them, having the knowledge of them is half the battle. And I don't know that their family knows it. I don't know.
Yesterday, and I probably shouldn't tell you this because it makes me sound bad. My stepfather lamented that my mother thought I was going to be the one to kill her. You know, didn't think Nathan would have this in him, but always thought I could. Granted, when I get angry, I get angry.
Yeah.
But like I told my stepfather last night, if I was going to kill anyone, it'd be myself. And we had a laugh. But I think I worry that his sister and his father are going to blame me to some degree. And I couldn't exactly blame them because in retrospect, I think all of the bad parts of me rubbed off on Nathan and none of the good parts did.
I don't see how that is even possible. Until, I mean, I would definitely, I don't know how well or how comfortable you are with writing, but putting your thoughts pen to paper is how I handle stuff. If that's something you wanted to pass on.
To Mr. Shimmel and Luana,
The family, yeah.
I
don't know if you thought about that avenue.
I would love to get into contact with them and let them know that I'm on their side in this, and I'm, as cold as it is to say, I'm not on Nathan's. I don't support what he did. I would never support something like that. But a major feeling that I have in all of this is that I was used. You know, you stab your mother, you immediately take this to my house, get my family involved, get my blanket taken, computer, you know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, he definitely catapulted you right dead center.
Yeah, and it's, at the very least, I will say that in that article, I was glad that they didn't bring me or my family up.
I'm surprised they didn't, because I think your name was in the charging affidavit. I'm surprised. Very surprised, actually. I know I left a card with Nancy, I thought. I'm gonna give you another one.
I have Miss Conrad's as well, Detective
This is
Conrad.
me.
Yeah, I know. Is she here? Because I know that she wanted to speak to me as well.
Oh,
And Conrad.
that's me.
Oh,
I'm the one talking to you.
okay. Okay.
Just give it so you can keep it in your wallet or whatever. Put my cell in the back. You called me on my desk line earlier.
Well, I mean, they called you. I was in the office waiting for Detective Conrad.
No, the very first one.
Oh. Sorry.
The first time you called my desk line about your computer, I think.
I
Or you just said you had stuff.
called Miss Conrad.
That's me.
Oh, are you?
That's what I keep saying.
I'm
like, that's why I kept like, why is he still talking like I'm not here?
I saw 4 detectives that night.
And 2 of us look alike.
Yeah.
Except the other one's my boss. Yeah, and yeah, I used to be Love Lady. That's why Nancy knows me.
Yeah, that's how I know you too. That's why I was like, didn't recognize you as.
I got you. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Well, yeah, because Nancy kept calling me Love Lady.
Yeah. That was your name while you were helping her through her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing this a minute. It's been so many, all the years just kind of go together. It's like I can't keep up. It's bad. But with that said, I mean, my brain goes well beyond just an actual case, you know. It's just, I can recognize and see the people, and it bothers me.
I've been worried about this since it happened, though. You know, do I look at all involved because he came over?
No.
You know,
No.
aiding and abetting is the thing. Am I guilty of that because he came over?
No, it was just unfortunate that we had to inconvenience, you know, you guys that night, and we appreciate you guys being so
I still got to
understanding.
work, so.
You still gotta work now?
No, I still got
Oh.
to work the next day, so I can't really hold you guys in any disregard.
I know, and I felt bad because but obviously, as you can see when you're in here, I mean, it would have been very difficult to have you in the room while we were talking to him.
I wouldn't have wanted to be, especially if he confessed to you guys, because my immediate reaction would have been to punch him. Because, you know, to a lesser extent, he took me for a fool, and to a greater extent, he removed someone from my life that I cared about. Not to the same degree that I cared about him, but...
Right. And then he gives the police a complete wild goose chase.
yeah.
Chasing down a person that could be a threat to the community and just completely. So, you know, that's kind of the concept. I mean, we kind of, I don't know. Once you get bold-faced lied to, and
Lied to me.
yeah.
Very few times that I am aware of has that happened between us, and makes me question everything.
Yeah.
You know, I can sit here and tell you I don't think it was premeditated, but at the same time, if he had this in him, how long has he had this in him?
How long's it been brewing?
But the Nathan I know, this was premeditated. This wasn't premeditated.
Okay. Well, my email's on there. Cell phone's on the back. If you think of anything that's pertinent, if you hear anything,
I've said everything I could.
right.
If you need to question me again, I'll try to make it in when I'm not.
Will not interfere with your job. That's not an issue. I don't need anything in any of the stuff that you would be, you know, you would have to do on a legal level or whatever won't be for quite some time, so. But the offer still stands as far as if you need anything, let me know.
Hate to sound cold, but I would like, at the earliest, to know what's happening with my computer.
Okay. I'll keep that in the back of my mind.
It's actually...
Unfortunately, it's not going to be high on them.
No, I don't doubt it, but...
Just be honest.
It's actually funny. He bought that for me. The laptop.
Did he?
Yeah. With the last paycheck from Walmart, he bought it for me. But...
Was it for an occasion or just for being a friend?
Just for being a friend, so we could play together, because I have another desktop, but it's not the one that I use his, as I said, but it's incredibly poor in quality, so I couldn't really do anything with him online.
Okay.
But...
What kind of computer is it anyway, by the way? Just so I can make
Toshiba laptop.
Okay, to your knowledge, is there anything on his phone, anything on his computer, anything related to any type of disagreement, any type of communications?
Like I said, if there's something important that would have been on his computer, it's on his phone, because he kept all of his important files on his phone.
Okay.
As for communication, he and his mother texted frequently.
Okay.
That's actually
And
why
you didn't have a conversation with him that day, so you don't know if there was any
he sent me a message, that was it.
indicating that he's battling with his mother because of the fact that she locked him out.
Yeah, well, he just said she locked me out. Locked me on the back porch. So I don't even know if I didn't say anything. I'm pretty sure I didn't, and just kind of laid down in bed. But if I did, then it was like, sucks. You know, that sucks.
Right.
Brush it off.
Do you still have your phone?
I don't have a phone.
You don't have a cell phone,
I
so
do not
that's
have.
why you guys communicate over the computer.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I never really needed a phone until, working, and even then it's just home and work. So,
You guys got a home phone?
yeah.
If that's the 445 number?
446
446?
1554.
1554.
And part of the reason I ask that you give the Shimmels my contact information is because I don't remember phone numbers. Once upon a time, I had their contact information, and I
Okay.
had no way of keeping it. So,
Okay. Let me see what I can do.
all right.
I know they're dealing with a lot, so.
I'd understand if they wouldn't want to talk with me.
I don't know that it's not, I mean, in due time, probably will have no issues with it whatsoever. It's just with them, I know Alana's head's spinning right now.
I feel really bad for her.
She's 19, being pushed into a 40-some-year-old woman's position, I mean, it's just, she's got huge shoes to fill right now.
Even that night, I felt the worst for her because, in my mind it was going, well, Nathan at the very least, if, because I was still working with the fact that he had witnessed it, not perpetrated it, well, he was there, so he knew firsthand, he knows the details.
Mhm.
She's going into this blind, he called her and had me talk to her because he was too shaken up. Now I think...
What happened, and I've forgotten about that, I'm glad you brought it up before I let you go. Talk to me about that. You called her from your phone or his phone?
His phone. I, again, do not have a cell phone.
Okay, that's right.
And so the call log should still be there, the fact that he called her.
He told you to call her?
I told him to call her, he dialed it, handed me the phone, said that he was too shaken up.
And what'd you say?
I just said, Lana, don't freak out, your mom's been stabbed. Because again, I didn't know that she was dead on scene. I was hoping against hope that she was, unconscious, bleeding out, and you guys got to her in time. I didn't know that there were multiple stabbings for the one thing, because he
Right.
just said that she got stabbed in the back. And so I said, your mom's been stabbed, and he's over here now. We're talking to the detectives. They sent an ambulance. I don't know anything. Try to get over here. And she did eventually go to my house.
So what did she say? Her response?
She was shocked. Oh my God, where's my mom? Do you know any information? And I felt immensely guilty that I didn't. That's why I was asking you guys, what happened with her, is she gonna be okay, what's the situation with Michele? Because from the way that he said it, she had been stabbed once, he saw a guy running off, he took off to my place. That, in my mind, gave me hope. She could be bleeding out, knife still in her, from what he said. He didn't pull it out. He said he tried to, and like I said, one of those things where two parts of my mind, panic does stupid things. That's a good alibi. But no, I felt guilty because I didn't have enough information for her, and she's young and she's scared, and I cannot blame her for that, because when my mom was dying, I was scared, and I wasn't young, and she's clearly stronger than me if she's can plan a funeral, because I let my sister and stepfather do that for my mother. I couldn't even help them put together posters of pictures of her, because, like I said, these things are, things like this are easy for me to deal with. Like, I was not crying that night, was I? I did not have to talk about it. I did not have to give anything other than the
basics.
You know, what I had heard from him. And that's another thing that's really tough on this, is I had to take his word for a lot of this. You know, he saw a man. He, you know, his mother was stabbed. He came in, his feet were bloody. He said that he crouched beside her.
And I know one of my detectives asked you already, but when was the first time that he asked how she was?
He didn't. I did. When the first detective arrived, I asked one of the guys how she was, and it was one of the officers that sadly was not at the other scene. So I was in the dark on that. He didn't. But he sat right beside me and let me ask and worry about that.
Yeah, and he already knew.
And I was, again, hoping against all hope that she was going to pull through. I was just thinking, well, I hope all the tonight blows over. Could go see her in the hospital after work. But I think that was the biggest blow of the night to me, is I asked one of the officers while I was in there, you know, what's the status on Michele? And he was like, yeah, she's dead. She was dead on the scene.
And that's when you first learned of it?
Yeah, while I was in there. 2:15. That's when I really woke up, so to speak.
That's when you wanted to go home.
Yeah.
And you're like, please.
Well, what sealed it for me, really, is I saw Lana and his father walking the halls, obviously with escort, but walking the halls. And you still had not released him. And that's when I just kind of finally... I didn't fully believe that he had done it yet, but I thought either he did or he didn't, and I'll find out tomorrow. So there's no reason for me to be here. I need to go home, and I have work tomorrow. But
well, I can't think of anything else. You've helped me tremendously. And I appreciate it again. I just wish I could, you know, help you in some way, but time will ease it a little bit, but you're always going to have a major impact. I mean, there's not much I can do.
Well, I'll definitely choose my friends better.
Yeah, how would anybody know? To be honest.
I plan on informing Riley, as I mentioned him, because again, we haven't talked personally in some time. I don't even remember the last time I actually played a video game with him. But he's been busy with his own life, and Andrew's been busy with his own life, and I had always, Nathan and I When Andrew came down last Christmas from college to stay with his family for a while, we got together, and while we were leaving, he brought up the point that Nathan and I didn't have jobs, we didn't plan on going to school, and both he and Riley were advancing in life while we were sort of stagnating. So I took that to heart and tried to find a job. Nancy got me set up with her friend, which again, I do not know the name of.
It's fine.
So that's true. Nathan and I were stagnating. Both of our friends we don't talk to anymore because they've moved on. And I have to go tell Riley, hey, our friend, he stabbed his mom. Yeah.
You talked to him over the computer as well, I'm assuming, or?
Yeah, same platform largely.
So they still partake in that for the most part, quite a bit, or?
It's, again, not the same game or anything like that. It's just like a digital store, I guess you could classify it.
Interesting, I'll look into it.
Right.
I'll remember it.
If you've got kids or younger family members, they probably have used it before. It's just a way to buy games and play them with your friends. A couple of those out there.
All right, well, if you run into, with that said, if you run into other people too that have maybe spoke to him lately or what have you and have anything to add, don't hesitate to give them my information. They can call me, email me, whatever. If they feel like they need to bounce anything off of me or inform me of anything.
I think it's fairly safe to say that he did not interact on a personal level with anyone outside of his family other than me.
Gotcha.
I think the closest thing to that is about a month back, he and I went to Busch Gardens so I could meet a friend who lives over there. And we basically he came with so I wouldn't feel alone, and we shared a hotel so I could sleep with this person. So that was pretty much his only other interaction for at length with another person. And like you'll see with most of our relationships, that was purely because it was through proxy.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, it was a ride informing that person, hey, that person that you met alongside me, yeah, I've had to tell people, that he gamed with, and it's...
Yeah, and then they go read the media.
Well, luckily, very few of them live around here, so...
Oh, okay.
But you got, Channel 6 and knocking at my door asking for a word, and...
They're relentless.
As for how I am feeling, I know you said if I need anything, need someone to talk to contact you, but I'm pretty much using the same philosophy that I was told to use when Mom passed. It's... people ask you, are you okay? And you kind of just gotta, you have to be. Can't really let this affect your life. Move on. And I kind of hate that I have the ability to do that and the Shimmels don't.
That's pretty painful. And that's definitely what I look at.
But do you need anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I will swear you into your statement then. Raise your right hand. Swear and affirm the statement you provided today is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I swear.
That's That's it in a nutshell. I appreciate your time. Again, everything you've done for me. Appreciate it.
Whatever it takes.